I feel like we must get to the last topic of our show today, to get our minds off of the fact that we have no NFL right now, and that's to talk about the Hunger Games. Okay, I started watching the movie, I got, like, 15 minutes into it, and then I had to start working again.
Wait, before we go deep in Hunger Games, I want to do a NBA Hunger Games crossover because Brian was explaining to me the like Mavs percent to like get the number one overall. Because at first I was like, what the like, how does this work? Like I thought the Sixers were in like a very short list the way everyone was talking. And he was like, no, every team's in it. Just other teams have. So I was like, okay, it's like Prim getting selected for the Hunger Games. Her name was only in once, and you have Gail's in like 40 times. And Brian was like, I can't attest to how true that comparison is. He was like, but it sounds right.
Yeah.
So that's our Hunger Games NBA crossover for today. But no
Love
matter
it.
what, you finish the book, right?
The book is finished. The book is finished. I finished the book this afternoon. Listened to it so much yesterday. On Monday, it was like all day I was listening to it, so I got a big chunk of it done. Yeah, it was sad. And then it wasn't so sad, but I really did not remember a lot of it, I will say.
Was the plot twist that you were talking about initially Prim?
Yes, it was Gail.
Okay.
But in my head, I feel like I remembered that being a little bit more intense. And, like, while I was listening to her, like, basically Katniss was just like, "Yeah, like, you killed like, your actions killed my sister," like, and, like, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, she never, like okay. As I was, like, listening towards the end of the book and, like, then listening to her life that she starts with Peeta at the end and, like, all this stuff and how happy they are and everything, and then the fact that Gale just, like, dies off and, like, we, like, just, like not dies off, but, like, trickles away into the book and, like, we never really hear from again. I'm like, was Gale really that important? Did Gale ever really care about Katniss? You know, I'm not so sure.
Nope.
I feel like there was some convenience there.
I feel 100% the same way, and especially with the way Suzanne writes her characters. Like, I feel like I've said it on the show before, but like, if she wants you to know something or if someone
Yep.
is important, like, you will, the way you like immediately knew Asinna. Like, she's not sugarcoating anything. She's like, this is a safe person for you. Like, you trust him, you rely on him, he's steady. Like, Gale's just kind of there always. And then, yeah, he disappears. So I think it literally just shows, like, he never really mattered. Like,
no, he never did.
I hate him. I don't know I cannot wrap my head around people being like, yep, I'm Team Gale.
No, it just again, I really don't think he ever he said he loved her. I just don't think that that really was ever there. I feel like the circumstances they were given, the situations that they were put in, led them to be always with each other, friends, turned into whatever. But I feel like that was all convenience. She said, like, her and Peeta were put in this, like, insane situation. They would have never spoken to each other if that never happened. And then look at the relationship that they were able to build, how much he very obviously cares about her, always talks about how much he cares about her, even when he was going absolutely crazy in Mockingjay, like, still loved her. Never felt that way with Peeta. Peeta was just like, basically anytime she was trying to like live her life, but no, fucking survive her life, he was just like, well, looked real to me, looked like you were kissing Peeta for real. But bitch, she was trying to get out of a place where they were gonna kill her.
Yep.
They were gonna kill her. She was
Yep.
doing that to survive. It turned into real emotions, obviously, but that's what you're thinking about?
No,
That's what you're thinking about.
like, let's be real. Who the fuck wouldn't fall in love with Katniss? Like, she's a badass, hot bitch that's taking over the world. Like, I do think I do think he cared about her. And I think he was like attracted to everything that she was. But I agree, he never loved her. because all of the shit that she was going through was about like the slightest inconvenience in his life or feelings or all this shit. And then I think one of the biggest things in this series is like character parallels.
Mhm.
Like everyone always likes to compare Katniss to Snow, but to me, Gale is Snow. Because like at the end, those choices that he had to make, the way he looked at that war, Katniss was like, you're no different than them. Like
Yeah.
everything you're gonna do is just to put you in their spot. You're not trying to change anything. Like there's some weird shit there.
He killed children.
He literally killed children.
He killed children, and, like, literally right after that, when she finds Snow in, like, his chains and whatever, like, in his little prison in his house or whatever, and because she goes to, like, get the rose, and he was just like, "Oh, the Capitol really, like, doesn't care about making sure children were alive or anything," and I'm like, "Well, that's Snow saying that, but he didn't even do it.
Yeah.
Gale did it." And then when Gale finally sees Katniss after all this for the first time since he knew that Prim was dead, doesn't even give her like a "I'm so sorry."
No, he's literally sucks.
He literally was just like she was like, "Was it yours?" And he was like, "I don't know, maybe." Like s- be a little bit more courteous of this girl that you supposedly love and the fact that her best friend and little sister is dead.
Yeah.
Like who are you?
It's a literally like
Infuriating.
the whole point of all of this starting was to save Prim. And then Gale just goes and blows up Prim. Like
The circle. The circle. Wow.
like everyone's like, "Oh, the Hunger Games isn't deep." I'm like, "Then you haven't processed it." Like I know it's
No.
written in a young adult way, but there are so many I told you when I was reading the new Hunger Game book, which obviously we're not talking about because Sam hasn't got to yet, but I literally sent the picture of like It's Always Sunny. And I was like, this is how it feels reading this book. Like I just want to like connect everything because
Well,
it's a web.
I'm really excited. So I did already start listening to Songbirds and Snakes. And literally I've gotten maybe a chapter into it, but right in the first chapter is already a connection to Mockingjay. And I don't should I say it?
Yeah,
There
of course. Say it.
Tigress.
Yeah. Oh, babe. Oh,
Yeah, like, and again, like, I literally like, we haven't even met anyone yet other than them just describing what's, like, going on and how he's poor and Coriolanus is poor, whatever. And I would like, the second they said and I went, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm reading these all back to back because
yes.
everything is so fresh in my brain from the original trilogy now that even, like, when we were, like anytime I was reading things in Mockingjay, and especially if it had to do with, like, the Capitol or anything, like, I was trying to kind of store them because I was like, "This might come back later." Same with, like, Catching Fire when they were talking about Haymitch's games, like, I was like, "Okay, that's definitely gonna be important later." Maybe, like, keep a couple notes in your brain. And when we got to Tigress, they explained her so deeply, but yet left so many questions open about it. I was like, "That's really interesting." And then the second I started listening to this book, I'm like, "Oh." And, like, I just feel like every single gap that was ever left open is going to get filled,
Yep.
which is so fun. Especially after how many years like, was this planned? Did she know she was gonna write 2 more books?
And I'm saying this with no spoilers at all. The way Sunrise on the Reaping is written, in my mind, there's no way part of that wasn't explained to Woody Harrelson. Because, like, obviously, when you're watching Catching Fire, you don't see it. But, like, once you're reading Sunrise on the Reaping, it's just crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be, like, a lot of gaps that are filled in that maybe she did intend to leave them open, and that I feel like there might be some that she didn't intend to leave open and then just happened to be able to close it with a new book, but I don't know. I'm excited, though.
I am literally so excited for you. Just a reminder, Mockingjay Part 1 is pretty slow. So just watch it. That literally fell to the trend of just releasing 2 movies when it had no business being 2 movies.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like while I was reading it, I was trying to find the break in the story that would constitute the first half slash the second half. And it literally, I was like, okay, this is the break. And then I looked at my app and it said I had 89% done of the book. And I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, and again, I really don't think I really remember watching these 2 movies. I feel like I remember the second one more, probably because it was a little bit more exciting. But, like, so far, I've been watching the first one, I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I could be watching this for the very first time right now. I have no
Yes.
idea.
That's where I lost Brian. We watched Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes had just come out, and we watched Hunger Games, Catching Fire. He was like in. And
Yeah.
then we had Mockingjay Part 1, Part 2, and Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And after Mockingjay Part 1, he was like, and I was like, you have to finish it. Like,
You're so close.
this close. And we spent 3 days watching the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So he finally saw that. I don't know if he could say what was going on, but he sat with me while I watched it. And then he's still never seen Mockingjay Part 2 though. And at this point, we probably have to go back and rewatch them all for it to make sense.
I literally asked Michael while I was, like, starting to watch movies, I was like, "Do you wanna watch Hunger Games with me?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "But it would be so much fun." And he's like, "I just know it's not for me." And I'm like, "It's fine, but, like."
I'm obviously so biased about this series, but like I feel like they're so gender neutral and just entertaining.
I think so too. I think he's just being silly.
They're just being boys.
He's just being a boy.
Feel
But
like
I am very excited to watch it because I don't remember the first one at all, like I said. I remember some visuals from the second one, like, I remember when they go down. I wonder if that's in the first one or the second one. When they go down into, like, the nuclear pit, like, to get out of the bombing.
yeah,
Is that in the first movie or the second movie?
I think first.
Okay, that I kind of remember. Alright, that just goes to show that I've seen the first one.
I
Because I remember them going down into the bomb shelter.
but yeah, no, it was first.
I
What?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't even remember where it is in the book. It might be halfway through the book, so maybe I don't know. But
I don't remember.
what I did really like in the book was how it was obviously, I mean, Katniss has always struggled with making herself like putting herself first basically and like thinking of herself and her health and like whatever. And like even after Prim dies, she's like really not processing it like in a healthy way. And when fucking the cat shows up and like is there for her and like they're there for each other because they're both grieving. And I'm like, this is what Katniss needed. She needed a living thing that couldn't talk to her
Yes.
physically. Like she just needed to bond with something that wasn't a person. And
Yes.
she got that with, wasn't Buttercup?
Yes.
Yeah. And she got, and like the fact that they were like, yeah, and then they cried together. And I was like, because a cat can cry. They get so emotional.
I am really interested to hear your thoughts because that's the one thing I felt like the movies lacked in the
Okay.
last 2 specifically, like showing her mental health struggles. Like I feel like they kind of like made her a little too badass, which like phenomenal, but like took away some of like the trauma. And I'm
Which I feel is
interested.
a big part of it.
Like she like genuinely lost her fucking mind. Like and
Literally.
valid.
Yes.
And I feel like they like obviously touch on it, but like I feel like you do not feel it in the movies the way that you do in the book. But also I've seen them so many times. So I don't know if I'm just like used to it. So I'm interested you going in to hear what
Yeah.
you think.
It'll be interesting to see because I feel like that's a really important part of Katniss, and the fact that like she basically like there are times where she's incapable of doing anything physically because of how emotionally wrecked she is.
Yes.
Like there and like after Prim is dead, I feel like we gloss over it really quickly, but like weeks go by.
Yes. And I think that's the point to show that like I don't feel anything right now.
Yeah, like
It's
she
literally it's giving. Do you remember? Did you read Twilight?
Yes, I read Twilight.
You remember New Moon when I was just like, we got so lazy. Like, it was like April, May, June. I was like, come the fuck on.
Oh, and I remember that in the movie too, where she's like
Yeah.
sitting at the window and the fucking window is
There's
like,
a possibility.
I think we talked about this before, but I would love to rewatch the Twilight movies because I have not seen them since they came out, and I never saw the last Breaking Dawn movie. So
No, like we need a sleepover
I
and we
know
need
that's
to binge them. Sam, the last movie is fucking insane.
no, I've heard that, and I've seen so many clips of it, so like I know, but then I'm like, I never actually sat down and watched this movie like straight through.
Sam, I was at the midnight premiere of that, and when I tell you the theater like erupted in screams, like it was wild. I have to confess that Twilight is my guilty pleasure, and I do rewatch the series at least once a year.
Really? Oh
Me
my god, I
too.
have not watched it in so long.
I do. I love it. Um, did I feel like I had to have last year. It was also like when Brian was playing baseball and like games would end and I'd be going to bed and obviously we were long distance. He wasn't there. I'd be like, I'm gonna fall asleep to Twilight.
Baseball movie.
There's literally a baseball scene.
No, it's a baseball movie.
Vampire baseballs.
Boys, watch Twilight. It's a baseball movie.
It's literally a baseball movie.
Um, but overall, I was so happy to kind of relive the series again. I know I'm not like finished with the full thing, but the original trilogy, like I had such a fun time. I mean, it took me like what, like 10 days to get through all 3 books. Like it was not hard. Oh, I forgot that Finnick died. And I texted Jordyn and I said, Finnick, nar. Nar. I was literally like sitting there and like they're getting chased by the mutts.
Mhm.
And I'm also trying to keep track of everybody that's like with her when you're listening to it is tough. Like
There's a lot of people.
I'm like, as far as I know, it's her and Gail and Boggs. R.I.P.
Are
My fucking G. I loved Boggs. And then it was like Finnick, Peta, Gail. And like I'm like, everybody else is just a blur behind her. I don't know who else is with her. And there was like camera people and like so many different things.
there was an Avox that couldn't speak.
Right. And like I didn't even remember about him until we got to the hanging tree part. And I was like, oh fuck, right. That guy, he's got no tongue. Okay, cool. But she's like looks down and like Gail comes up and he's all like fucked up. And I was like, good, Gail, die. And then even though I knew Gail didn't die, and then she like looks down, she's like sees Finnick gets just like ripped apart by these mutts. And I was like sitting there and I was listening to it. I was in the battery tunnel coming home from Madison Square Garden, and I'm like looking out the window and listening to it, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh, they're gonna go down and get him, and then they're like, nope, gone, running away, and I'm like, wait, what? And then like it took me like a couple of minutes for me to realize I went, oh my god, Finnick is dead. Like they're not going back for him. Finnick is dead. And then at the end of the book, they said that Annie was pregnant, so that she actually got to have Finnick's baby, but he's dead. Like, are you kidding? I was like, that's the saddest death. Prim is so sad. For me, Finnick is the saddest death.
And do you want to know the worst part about it? Suzanne Collins, this bitch, I'm kidding. I love you. I would literally die for you. But she has come out and said that is the character death that I regret the most. Like that never had to happen. And I'm like, take it back. Release a world. Rewrite it where Finnick lives. I literally don't care.
Rewrite it. They buy houses next to each other and their kids grow up together.
No, I will literally. That's one of those character deaths I will never get over. When I was rereading it, I knew it was coming, and literally, like I could tell. I was like, it's like here. And I literally was reading it. I was in a hotel by myself because Brian was already at the field for his game. And I'm literally like, pacing around this hotel room. And I'm like, you can do it. Like, you can literally do it. And I had to like talk myself into sitting down and reading through it. At one point, I was like, I'm just going to skip it. Like, I know what happens.
Yeah.
But I read it and it sucks just as bad. like it never gets easier.
It was so sad. And I was like, damn, Finnick, he was like getting out of it.
I know.
He was getting there. He'd married his girl. He was so happy.
And he was just so good. He deserved so
I
much.
know, and he was like so cocky but so fun, and he like cared for Katniss too. I think Finnick cared for Katniss more than Gale did.
I will die on that hill. Absolutely.
Like Finnick had more love for Katniss in his heart than Gale did at all.
Second that he saw how scared she got when Peeta ran into that force field, that moment he was like, she's the real deal. And he had her back literally until he died. Meanwhile, Gale blows up her sister. Like, come on.
No, and then you know what too, while I was watching because I remember obviously how I felt reading that part in Catching Fire, watching it in Catching Fire, they must have told Jennifer Lawrence, like, make this shit as real as fucking possible. And she said, say less.
Also, that entire fucking cast in that movie, stunning. Like, everyone looked the hottest that they've ever looked. Just incredible.
Sam Claflin.
Yeah.
Claflin, that's his name. Plays Finnick, who's also every role he does. So good.
Phenomenal.
He was in The Guy in the Wheelchair and Me Before You. So good.
Yep.
Fucking the guy from Daisy Jones. So good. Finnick Odair. So good. He's just killing it.
Yep.
He's so good at his job.
So mad at him for getting veneers.
He got veneers?
Yes, and he had the cutest little teeth. It makes me so sad.
That is so sad.
And obviously at the time of this, we have 2 prequels. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced there's a third one coming, and I think she's just going to keep doing little trilogies, and I'm praying in my delusional mind that she throws out one more prequel, has the little prequel trilogy, and then in the best world, there's a third trilogy, a trilogy of trilogies, if you will, post-war perspectives. But a girl can dream. I'm just so happy you're reading them. I can't wait for you to read the prequels. You're going to have the time of your life. Get tissues. Jesus Christ. Thoughts and prayers.
I'm so excited.